Hello and welcome to the Bentleigh Report. Well, I should say Bentleigh, Bentleigh East, Ormond, McKinnon, and whatever
East
other
Brighton.
suburbs, Brighton, whatever other suburbs we're active in. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Guzenfitter.
Good to have you here, Leon, and good to review what's going on in the world of Bentleigh and surrounds because it has been a busy, busy time.
It has. I can't believe it's been 3 months
Yep.
since we did this because it felt like it was
you
just
go.
the other week. I think I wore
Time flies.
a green jacket because I thought there was a time you can make money if you
Yes.
can buy well. I reckon I'm 3/4 right. I think there's been a few good buys and we've even discussed with our team that at the moment we're probably not buying at the peak, which means if you are buying with a medium to long-term outlook, you're probably making money and getting capital growth.
In layman's terms, I think if you buy now, we think if you buy now, you're going to make money. And it won't be that long before you have to do it. Because there has been properties that have come back. And mind you, I don't think things have come back as much in Bentleigh and
No.
surrounds as they have in some other areas.
Yeah.
But there is some properties that we can see that represent great value. So
Yeah.
I think buyers have had and have got their opportunity, but that opportunity, that window, as we said on GPTV a few weeks ago, that window's closing, Leon, because we see an interest rate cut coming, maybe a second one after that, and all of a sudden, bang, a little kick in the market, and before you know, 5 or 10%, and that can make a big difference depending on how much you're spending, can't it?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about some of the sales that have happened. I mean, this is always the best time in real estate, in my opinion. It's always the best time in Melbourne because the sun's shining, the cup's on, people are getting ready for holidays, people are finalising their new year plans, people are planning for 2025,
Yeah.
where their kids are going to go to school, where they're going to reposition their families. So this is a kind of, everyone's jockeying for position, to use a racing term, everyone's jockeying for position for their families, for their lives. It's always a great time of year, and I've got to say that I think Melbourne, even though we've had a little bit of doom and a bit of a cloud over us, we're seeing some blue sky, and I think we're going to see a lot more, particularly the next few months. Your thoughts?
Well, very similar. In fact, I was having a walk with my father the other day and he had some friends that he met on a cruise overseas. He and my mum met some friends on a cruise. They live in Russia, our old country, the
Yes.
USSR,
Yep.
Former USSR, and they were in Melbourne. So Dad thought you'd meet them, pick them up at the airport, take them around, show them around. And he just said that the wife said she's just completely in love with Melbourne.
Yes.
She's never seen such a beautiful city
Yeah.
and was just surprised at how big the city was in terms of how the metropolitan area is so built up and large,
Yes, it
but
did.
also beautiful. And they went out, into the hills and to Gumbaya Park and all that.
Yep.
And they just couldn't believe that such a mix of modern, big and new, but also wildlife and so on. And really in love with Melbourne. I think we sometimes forget
Yep.
how lucky we are to live here.
We take it for granted, and I was saying this, on our Security and Bayside report just earlier today, that Melbourne, there are too many things in Melbourne for any government, and let's not get political, but whether it's the current government, the former government, or future government, there's too many great things in Melbourne to stuff up because, whatever happens, we've got our sporting events, we've got our grand final, we've got our Grand Prix, we've got our racing, we've got our tennis, we've got arts, we've got concerts, we've got restaurants, we've got parks, we've got cafes, maybe not the beaches so much, but we've got trams. Don't we love those? So it's great shopping. So there is a lot. And in fact, my son, his girlfriend has moved from Sydney. And interesting to get view and see Melbourne through her eyes. And she's saying the same thing about Melbourne. Great restaurants. There's so many great little shopping strips here. So much to enjoy. So let's just fall back in love with Melbourne, and particularly in love with Bentleigh and surrounds, because
That's right.
there's so many great cafes around, so many new places opening, so many places thriving. It's great to see. Some of the sales that have happened have also
Yeah.
been very interesting. Let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about them.
No problem. And look, through this edition, we might talk a bit about values and median sale prices, because
Yes.
just a few weeks ago, the median sale price got released. It gets released every quarter.
Yeah.
And Melbourne's at $916,000 as a median house price, which is up $1,000 or 0.1% from the previous quarter. So it's basically
So
flat.
just the median, if I'm not mistaken, is 101 sales, and the 51st sale is the median.
That's correct, the
Yeah.
the middle number. Just to go, and I'll talk about the current for the most of the suburbs that we cover, but also where the peak was, because we know the end of getting out of the lockdowns is where the peak was. And the peak for Melbourne was Q4 2021, and we might get some of these numbers on the screen where, again, currently it's 916,000 for Q3 2024, and previously the peak was Q4 2021 was 1,135,000. So you can see there is value. We are below, and maybe that peaked too quickly. That's probably what happened. It went too fast at those low rates with built up money, people sort of sitting, not spending, and really coming out and paying overs potentially. But there is definitely room to grow.
Look, I don't want to challenge or discredit you, but I'm going to.
Okay.
Because I've got to say that I think the median's a very misleading barometer and guide, because let's just say, Leon, that there is a lot more apartments than houses.
Yeah.
So, of 101 properties, if there were 50 houses and 50 apartments, and the 51st sale might be something in between an apartment and a house.
Yeah.
But if there is 80 apartments and 20 houses,
Yeah.
their middle point is now going to be far more representative
Yeah.
of an apartment value than a house value. So then that would mean that the median has dropped.
Yeah.
I think the real barometer is how do properties perform like for like. So a property that was $1.2 million 3 years ago is going to sell for how much now, and
Yeah.
what sort of property?
Yeah.
We see apartments that have sold off the plan, for example, selling for far less, very often, for far less than they were paid for.
Yeah.
We see some apartments that have gone literally nowhere. We see land that have come back a bit, but we see good established homes having moved forward. Would that be a fair summation?
I think
Yeah.
so. And just looking at the actual median house price, one thing that I do notice between different suburbs, there are some suburbs in Melbourne that are a bit leafier and a bit more seasonal with their top end sales, which I think where you're getting to. So
Yeah.
I've just read that this week South Yarra's had the biggest drop. Now,
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
over 20% from the median house price from last quarter, which was through winter. And I'm sure some of the beautiful homes in South Yarra and those kind of suburbs like Armidale had a big fall, Elsternwick. Winter's not the time that the real top end properties in those suburbs sell.
And you would have to think that almost every year the median from winter to spring would have to drop.
Of course, because then
yeah.
in January or when the next median comes out,
Yeah.
there'll be this thing, South Yarra roaring with a 20%
right.
increase because the better houses got sold. So
That's
it
right.
can be a bit misleading, but if we, there is definitely a trend to where we are now and where it was probably at the peak coming out of COVID.
Absolutely.
And I was going to say, just looking back through some of our sales, we've had some prices that are, are significantly above what we thought.
That's right.
And also above the median.
And that's the best barometer of the market. I mean, I had a journalist call me from the Herald Sun saying, "Oh, Caulfield, the medians, the prices have plummeted in Caulfield." I said, "Not at all, but we have had very little action at the top end of the market."
That's
so
right.
when you don't have that, then you take all the prices together, and if you haven't got enough top end sales or prestige sales, then of course the price in the middle is going to be a lot lower.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about some of the sales that have happened, because I know Gwendolyn Avenue is a fine address, and we've had a little bit of an off-market deal happen there. Is that right?
Yeah, it's interesting. The owners are very private, and the very beautiful home, which I'm sure is on the screen behind it, 22 Gwendolyn Avenue.
Yes, we're in it now.
There was no board,
Feels
there
good.
was no internet portals, there was no formal open times. I just really wanted to test our database. We had probably about 18 groups, very, very qualified people come through. We actually had 6 of them repeat. We had 2 offers that were written and we sold it just shy of $3 million, which was a significant improvement from what they paid about 6.5 years ago. So definitely good capital growth. But just to show you what a modern, neat, single level house, I mean, very beautiful, but still bringing close to $3 million in Bentleigh. And that was a really great success for our database. And to not have some of the advantages of all the main internet portals, just to ring and email and SMS some of our best buyers through properties we meet in the suburbs in the next band out. The buy came from an open at South Caulfield down to Bentleigh, which is not much a stretch and not much a discount anymore,
No.
and paid a very strong price, just under $3 million.
Well, $3 million Bentleigh, no big deal anymore. I mean, I didn't think in my life I'd ever say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always got some good vision, but $3 million in Bentleigh, really?
Yeah.
$3 million Bentleigh, no big deal. And the database, it works.
Yeah, and if we're getting the median sale price up on the screen for Bentleigh, which is Q3 2024, it's $1,675,000, and the peak of Q3 2021, coming out of lockdown, $1,931,250.
Yep.
So again, a little bit of a gap, bit room to grow. So if you're buying now, I think it's got room to grow, which I'm sure it will also grow at 21 Pascoe Avenue,
Yep.
which was a great sale.
Terrific.
Beautiful parcel of land along Elster Creek, the trail there.
Yes.
It had all the north to Elster Creek. We had 2 buyers that were very keen on it. We ended up selling it just under $2 million just before auction. Yeah, we had 2 buyers. It was, the first offer was enough to trigger the sale. $2 million for a block of land. I dare say, knowing the buyers and what they're going to build there, that house, when it's finished, will start with 4 or possibly 5, because something very exciting is happening at that address.
Amazing. Now, I love Mackie Road. I saw the board up there as I went and
Yes.
got my chicken soup from Beck's Carvery
Yes,
on
good
Friday.
plug.
So I go down there. Yeah, I love Beck's Carvery, and
Great.
duck down there and get great. They've got great salad, great soup, great potatoes. Anyway, go to Beck's Carvery on Centre Road, just around the corner from Mackie Road. Tell us a bit about this Mackie Road sale.
Yeah, we had a nice auction with 3 bidders, about a 25-year-old Metricon home. We had 3 bidders sold for $1,850,000, which again, comparing to the current median sale price, $1,462,500 is the current median. Actually, $1,462,250 is the median sale price for Bentleigh East houses. But it did peak at $1,547,500 Q3 2021
Fair
again.
enough.
So, but that got you into the McKinnon school zone. I think it was actually really good buying, a really big accommodating home. 3 bidders competed, $1,850. Was a good result.
And a great spot down there, and very close to that little, it's also a little row of shops there on Mackie Road. I haven't stopped in there. There's a wine bar there as well.
Have you noticed it's changing,
cool.
Gary? The older shops are closing, newer people coming in, they're renovating. That's going to be, that always lifts values.
No question about it. Let's talk about Roslyn Crescent, great spot there in Bentleigh East as well.
Yeah, which also gets you into the McKinnon school zone that we are so fortunate to operate in an area with so much natural demand for that property. This was a terrific property. We had a great campaign. And had 4 bidders, and it was a long auction. I think you were there, but Philip was doing it, and nearly went. I think everyone always had to go.
Pouring with rain, and it was
almost an hour, but it was a great result.
Sold a marathon
at $1,822,000, and very happy purchasers who actually were so happy they bought it from overseas. They flew in on Monday.
Yes.
Just to see the house, because I hadn't seen it previously. I'd only went through their advocates, so it just shows people from the other side of the world, I think they were from Vietnam, flew in to see the house just 48 hours after purchasing.
Leon, I had a lot of joy selling with you number 6 Kershaw Street, Bentleigh East. The clients have gone up north, but they were tuned in, watching it on FaceTime, I should say. And thank you for the opportunity, and well done to the buyers. They had a good competitive auction there. Tell us a bit about that one.
Yeah, like again, a home that you're basically not paying a lot of money for. I mean, the land basically represented 90-95% of the final selling price, but a very comfortable single level home. We did have 3 people compete on the day.
Yeah, we did.
And it's probably just that auction showed me that we had 3 bidders within the last, 20,000,
maybe 5,000.
Yeah, well, they were
very tight,
really tight around that 1,300,000 mark, and sold for 1,301,000. So there is, a little bit of tightness in the market as the volume was bigger in spring. But again, a strong result. And I think when you're selling as a seller, to have 2 or 3 or 4 people compete, you can be very comfortable that you've had a fair representation of the market.
Very definitive as to what its value is, isn't it? We love it when that happens. Let's talk about Tucker Road, also a great address and a popular street and a great location.
Exactly, which also got you into the school zone. This was probably the deepest set of buyers we've had for an auction for a long time. We actually had 8 different people bid, and I think 7 of them bid over the reserve on the day, which showed how much we could have sold 8 houses had we had them listed. But a really well put together single level home. We sort of thought it would get 1.9, which is a sort of 1.8, 1.9, which the reserve was around that mark, and we sold for just over 2.1 million, and a lot of excitement about that home. And if we're looking at McKinnon, the current median sale price $1,815,000 for a home, but it did peak at $2,267,000 in the first quarter of 2022.
So when we go back to those, those kind of markets, we're going to see growth in a lot of these properties as well. Now, we wouldn't be an edition of the Bentleigh Report without something in Brighton East, because we're always actively selling there. Tell us about this property in Thomas Street.
This is such a unique property, and I think it was very hard to value. And Daniel and I threw out some numbers, and Philip got involved, and you had a look. I mean, this was a really big corner townhouse, but it had a full basement for 5 cars.
That's
so very hard to find, like very much a builder's own spec rather than a volume built cookie cutter sort of situation. And now the price, they have tried to keep it a bit undisclosed, so we've got to be careful. But it was in excess of 2.5, which I think we could say that was the bottom of our range. We did achieve more than that. But an incredible property and worth every penny of it. And I wish I had that, because I love my cars, Gary, and I would just be buying more cars to put into that 5-car basement.
Probably better you didn't buy it then,
It probably is better. But a strong result. And Thomas Street, the extension of Bamber Road, which is the extension really the other way of hitting Brighton proper. So we're seeing a lot of people in that corridor that want to send their kids to St Leonard's and Hailbury. Fine to buy around there. Easy access to South Road to get down to those private schools in Brighton, and a little bit more affordable than probably buying just the other side of of Nepean Highway.
Absolutely. Now, I had some joy meeting you for a twilight auction. We love our twilight auctions. There's many planned, including the one that we did have planned that sold competitively, one at 44 Clive Street, Brighton East.
Yeah, that was terrific. That was such a great entry-level property for something that's not a flat or a unit. It was a good-sized townhouse. Credit to the owners. They took some advice and they brought it up to speed. They did the floors and they painted it.
Did.
Yeah, the place just looked terrific.
Yep.
And it's interesting with speaking to the owners of that property, there was a little bit of resistance to spend at the start, and they won't mind me saying, but when we did the work, they all came to me and said, "You were so right.
Great,
the place looks great," and they felt really good about selling it. Really competitive auction, sold just under $1.5 million.
Yes.
And while we're on that, the median house price for Brighton East is $1,880,000, and I think there's value in East Brighton because it did peak at $2,580,000 a year ago, Q3 2023. Wow. And it was also at the end of that 2021 lockdown, Q3 2021 was $2,545,000. So yes, I think in the winter some of the bigger homes didn't sell, but I see East Brighton, and especially that wedge, the Lancox Park precinct, as really, really good value, because when things tick, I do see Brighton East and Brighton, a bit of Elwood and Hampton as a bit of a yo-yo suburb. When things go, they really go up quickly. So I see value in East Brighton.
You do, and you're very attached to the media, and you've done a lot of homework on this.
We have.
I don't give it a lot of credibility, but you're excited about it. So
well, it does tell a few tales.
That's okay too. Yeah, there is some messages in it. Let's talk about some of the things that we've got coming up, because we are in the greatest named street in McKinnon, in my opinion, Carlton Street.
Well, that would only be your opinion, Gary.
Oh, no, I think there's a few others in the company that would share that opinion, as you would know.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Rosens and Mr. Fisher, and there's a few Carlton people in there. But anyway,
were they even born the last time Carlton won a premiership?
I don't see an Essendon Street anywhere in McKinnon. But anyway,
no, there isn't.
Tell us about Carlton Street.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful single-level house, which it's really hard to find. I think if you can find all the accommodation that you need on one level, I'd probably you don't want the stairs, and I've had my own personal situation with the stairs in the last 6 or 8 weeks, where I might have missed a step and found my way into the hospital. But well, if you can have a house, especially with a young family, that you don't have to go up and down stairs, I think it's terrific. And this is as good a single level home as you'll see, with an incredible, Gary, 25-metre lap pool, and I think it's magnesium. I'm not sure exactly what that does, whether it helps you float better or it's better for your body.
It's not like an acid that's going to chew you up, is it, or anything like that?
No, I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. And it's actually a pool that if you are a swimmer, you can actually do laps and kind of train, because it's 25 metres long. So a really unique feature. Gets you into the McKinnon School Zone, of course, right near Allnut Park. That's a great house, and we've already had a nice positive start there.
How often do you jump into your pool at home?
That's a good question. My kids are in it all the time.
That wasn't my question.
Me, I would say 5 times a year.
I've been 13 years in my home. I've been in the pool once.
Once, okay.
Yeah,
is that because you slipped or?
No, I wasn't thrown in there. I tried to throw me in a few times, but anyway, they are all first world problems, aren't they?
Yes.
Thankfully. Caramar Avenue in Brighton East is a fine looking town residence. Tell us a little about this.
Yeah, back into that little wedge of East Brighton that we love so much. This was a home. I've walked through this house, and I literally would have thought it was brand new. It was so well presented.
Better than new. Better
than new. It's been tried and tested and still standing. It's got a great northern aspect through all the living areas, and it should go well. One of the better town residences, double lock-up garage, such a unique selling feature, especially with councils making it really tough to build them. So I'm sure 16B Caramar Avenue will go really well.
Now, I love this fresh look of this home, number 4 Pascal Street, Bentleigh. What a terrific looking property with so much on offer here.
Yeah, again, a double garage, and the thing I love about this house, it's completely freestanding. So in this sort of $1 3/4 million price range, we generally in that pocket of Bentleigh are selling attached homes, which is fine and norm, but the fact that this home has got the full wide frontage, completely detached with a double lock-up garage, I'm really positive about that property. I'm sure it will go well, and I still think represents great value, because if you were to buy that block and build that house,
no doubt, couldn't do it.
You couldn't even get close.
Moylan Street in Bentleigh East, let's move on to there. Got that one coming up as well. Tell us a bit
about it.
Yeah, well,
it's not yet sold. We've had a few people through it.
Pretty close. We've had a few people want it.
We've had a few people want it. We've had a few repeat inspections. And look, sometimes there is a bit of hesitation. I think it represents incredible value at the asking price. It's one of the biggest townhouses that you will find, because it's actually got 3 living zones and 4 bedrooms and a study. And it's got a great northwest aspect. We did the auction Wednesday on a twilight, and it was if I could ever say something was too bright, it was probably too bright. You know, it was so bright and beautiful.
Better too bright than not enough.
Absolutely. Gets into the McKinnon School Zone, perfect walking distance from both the senior campus, junior, the two campuses, as well as Volkston Primary. I'd be surprised if that hangs around too much. But if you want to get into that zone under $2 million, 11B Moylan Street is a great buy.
Jump all over it and be quick about it, as we will, wrapping up our show with number 2, Ellswill Street in Bentleigh East.
Yeah, and look, this is such a good land opportunity. You really, the house, you're coming for free. You know, it's on a good parcel of land in a really quiet street. It's a street you can't get to unless you go through a few other streets. So it's not a cut-through street. Really well priced. I think there's a motivated vendor there, and I believe that it represents really good buying anywhere around that 1-2 mark. I think it's incredible buying, and I'm hopeful that there's, you know, it might even go a little bit better than that.
Free house. Just have to pay for the land. Well, that is a very big wrap and a very long session on what's going on, but I feel like we haven't spoken for a while. People wanting to know what's going on in Bentleigh and surrounds, and that's a pretty big wrap of the market, Leon. We've got another 6 weeks or so of active selling. How are you going to see things panning out in the next 6 weeks?
It's interesting. I really love selling late November and December. I find that when people maybe sell at the start of spring, they dismiss a few properties that come up because they think they've got plenty of time till their home potentially settles, and then they get to about November and go, I don't have much time and there's not much new stock, and I don't want to wait till end of January, February for the new stock to launch. So I'm very confident all the stuff that we have on the market, like every year, it will move, and sometimes, you know, it moves really late in December. I auctioned off a property myself, the last property that I sold it myself in December, and it was really successful. So if you're seeing this and you're going, I'd really like to sell this here, do we have time? Absolutely you do.
Yes, but call us now.
Call us now. And we can have slightly shorter campaigns, maybe not in these areas, but in the last sort of 2 months. And we had actually one in Moorabbin that was, you know, relevant to the Bentleigh area that we bought forward. The interest was there. The auction was meant to be in a week and a half's time. We bought it forward. So I think at this time of the year, people are making quick decisions.
They want to.
You don't have to have a whole month in the market. 2-3 weeks, you can get a campaign in and sold. So I think if you are thinking of selling, don't necessarily have to wait till 2025 because there's still time to do it this year.
There is, but if you want to do it in 2025, now's a good time to be speaking.
Can I add one more thing, Gary, as well?
As we go.
The Bentleigh team is looking to recruit. We're looking to build. We have more
some superstar agents.
We've got some great agents. We're sort of taking everyone through the same sort of training, and they're getting better, and we're seeing results. We're looking to build the team. We're blessed to have this many offerings and be able to discuss so many different listings and sales that are coming in this area. But we'd love, if you're an agent out there and you like a bit of that area and like a bit of us, come and speak to us, because we're always looking to grow the team and very excited about where our office is going because it's such a great area to operate in.
And I can tell you it's a very rapidly growing office. So if you want to help us grow, and if you want to grow, we can show you how we can do that. So give us a call, give Leon or myself a call. We'd love to have you involved. That is a big wrap. We'll be back before the end of the year to wrap the year and to look at our predictions for 2025. In the meantime, thanks for watching the Bentleigh Report. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Kuzenfitter.
We'll see you next time.